I am Lauren Hayes, 35 years old, a pediatric ER nurse, and mother to two 10-year-olds who deserve the whole sky, Oliver and Mia. 2 nights ago, while I was in the middle of a double shift at Nationwide Children's, my phone buzzed in my scrub pocket with the kind of messages no parent ever wants to read. Mia, Grandpa says we're moving to the basement. He already took my bed. Oliver, it smells weird down here. My chest hurts. I can't find my inhaler. The fluorescent lights above me hummed like angry bees. My fingers went cold, and for a moment I couldn't tell if it was from the aircon in triage or from the words on that screen. I've seen kids coding at 3 a.m. I've pushed meds with my hands shaking, but nothing rattled me like knowing my own children were being lowered into a damp concrete box without me there to stop it. The drive across Columbus blurred past storefronts and traffic lights. I didn't turn on the radio. The silence pressed harder than any song could. My parents' house sat just as prim as ever, hedges trimmed, porch light glowing like a false welcome. From the outside, you'd think safety lived there. Inside, it smelled of lemon cleaner, drywall dust, and something sour underneath, like wet cardboard. The hallway walls were bare, where Oliver's falcon sketches used to hang. Upstairs, I glimpsed soft blue paint drying in what used to be the guest room, a mobile of puffy clouds already circling above a crib. Next door, a gold-legged desk and ring light gleamed. Downstairs, the truth waited. The basement greeted me with cold air that clung to my shoes. 2 twin mattresses sat on cinder blocks, sheets stretched so tight they looked angry. The only window was half stuck, showing nothing but the neighbor's siding. A faint bloom of white fuzz traced the wall near the water heater. I thought of Oliver's lungs, of every wheeze that kept me awake last winter. In the kitchen, my mother, Carol, stirred tea she wasn't drinking. Lipstick perfect, shoulders squared. She didn't even look up when I walked in. "You're home early," she said, as if I'd surprised her in her own routine. "Why are my kids' beds in the basement?" My voice was flat because if I let it rise, it would shatter. "It's practical," she answered, still watching the spoon. "Brooke needs an office and the baby can't nap in a hallway." What she didn't say hung louder than what she did. Your kids are older. They can bend. I thought of Oliver clutching his inhaler, of Mia tapping out scales on her clarinet, trying to be heard. The mobile upstairs spun, slow clouds chasing each other while my children's lives were being folded into concrete corners. If you've ever felt a room rearrange itself around someone who isn't you, you know what I mean. Tell me in the comments where you're listening from. I want to know your city, your kitchen table, the place where you've counted costs you shouldn't have had to. And if you need to hear more stories like this, subscribe. You'll find family here, the kind that listens. I looked back toward the stairs where 2 small silhouettes waited, breath quick, eyes wide. They didn't need a lecture on mold or safety codes. They needed one sentence they could carry in their backpacks. "Go pack your favorite things," I told them, voice steady enough to hold. "We're not sleeping underground tonight." Oliver's backpack zippers catch as he stuffs in his sketchbook and the little falcon figurine he carved from balsa wood. Mia slides her clarinet case over one shoulder like a soldier gearing up. Their footsteps on the stairs sound too fast, like they know if they hesitate, someone might take back the permission I just gave. I stand in the kitchen, my palms on the cool laminate counter. The house hums with ordinary noises, the kettle whistling faintly, the baby's mobile tinkling upstairs. But under it all is the thud of my own pulse. The back door creaks and my father steps in first. He smells of cut grass and motor oil, like he's been tinkering in the garage. Behind him is my brother Ethan, cradling his son like a prize. Brooke trails last, scrolling her phone, manicured nails tapping glass. They move as a unit, confident, as if the air bends for them. Dad takes one look at my face and sighs the way men do when they think they're about to lay down the law. "Lauren," he starts, "don't make a scene. We just needed more space for the baby, you understand?" I keep my hands flat on the counter so he won't see the tremor. What I understand is my children being shoved into a basement with mold on the walls. Ethan shifts the baby higher on his shoulder. He doesn't even look at me when he says, "Kids are resilient. You're overthinking this like always." Resilient. My voice edges sharp. Oliver wheezed just standing down there. He has asthma, Ethan. Or do you forget that because you never cared to ask? Brooke finally lowers her phone, her expression caught between annoyance and disbelief. We all have to compromise. My work calls need quiet. You know how important my clients are. Mia appears in the doorway with her backpack. She's not crying, but her chin is tight, the way it gets when she's holding something back. Oliver shadows her, clutching his inhaler in one hand. Neither says a word. They don't need to. Their silence is a verdict louder than any outburst. I glance at my father. He rubs the back of his neck, eyes darting between me and Ethan. It's not permanent, Lauren. Once the remodel's done, everything goes back to normal. Don't be dramatic. Normal. That word tastes bitter. For years, normal has meant me bending, them taking, and my kids learning to shrink themselves small enough to fit in corners. I step away from the counter and crouch to Mia and Oliver's level. You've got your things? They nod. I squeeze each shoulder, anchoring them even as the floor feels like it's tilting. When I stand, Mom finally looks up from her untouched tea. If you walk out now, she says, her voice syrupy with threat, don't expect us to open our doors again. The words hit like a slap, but there's no sting. Just clarity. They think the roof they gave us is leverage. They think I'm trapped. I meet her eyes, steady. Then it's a good thing I've been building a door of my own. No one speaks. Even the baby quiets, as if the house itself is holding its breath. I guide Mia and Oliver toward the front. Oliver clutches my hand. Mia holds her clarinet like a lifeline. Behind me, voices start up, my brother protesting, my father muttering about gratitude, but I don't turn back. The cool air outside wraps around us sharp with the smell of cut grass and gasoline, and for the first time in months, I feel like I can actually breathe. At the car, Mia finally asks, voice small but fierce, "Mom, are we really leaving?" I buckle her in and meet her eyes in the rearview mirror. Yes, and we're not coming back to the basement, ever. The engine catches, headlights spilling down the driveway. In the porch light, my parents stand shoulder to shoulder, watching. They look less like protectors and more like gatekeepers guarding something that was never truly mine. The tires roll onto the street and Columbus stretches ahead, messy, uncertain, alive. My children's silhouettes in the back seat are enough proof of why I can't fold this time. We drive into the dark, away from lemon cleaner and unfinished promises. And somewhere deep in my chest, a different kind of light sparks, the kind that whispers, "You're closer than you think to being free." The hum of the engine is the only steady thing as we glide down Broad Street, city lights flashing in short, nervous bursts. Oliver leans his forehead to the window, drawing foggy circles with his breath. Mia sits stiff, clarinet case balanced across her knees like a fragile promise. I should have a plan. Mothers are supposed to have plans. All I have is the address of a friend from the hospital and the echo of my mother's voice still dripping with warning, "Don't expect our doors to open again." I call Nancy on. She picks up on the second ring, her voice the calm I didn't know I needed. "Lauren, are you okay?" I swallow, throat rough from the words I haven't said. We had to leave. The kids can't stay there another night." There's no pause, no hesitation. "Then come here. I've got the guest room ready, and if it's not enough, we'll make it enough." By the time I pull into her driveway, the night smells of damp leaves and cooling asphalt. The porch light spills warm, the opposite of my parents' cold glare. Nancy is already at the door, cardigan wrapped tight, slippers on. She bends to the kids first. "Hey, you two, you hungry?" "I've got cookie dough ice cream in the freezer." Mia's shoulders drop just a fraction. Oliver finally peels himself off the window glass. For a moment, they look like kids again, not refugees. Inside, the house breathes differently. Walls covered in framed prints, kitchen counter scattered with recipe cards, the faint citrus scent of dish soap. It feels lived in, not curated for judgment. Nancy leads us to the guest room, where she's pulled out an air mattress beside the queen bed. Fresh sheets, mismatched but soft, are folded at the foot. Someone's thought about comfort here, not presentation. Oliver runs his palm over the blanket, whispering, "It smells like sunshine." He means it smells clean, like it was dried outside. Mia sets her clarinet case by the bed, then looks at me. "Are we staying?" The word catches in her throat. I kneel to meet her eyes. "Just for a little while, honey, until we're in our own place." I keep my voice steady, even though my chest feels tight. Nancy hovers in the doorway, reading the air. She doesn't intrude, just says softly, "Bathroom's stocked with towels. Holler if you need anything." Then she disappears down the hall. Later, after the kids are tucked in, Oliver with his inhaler by the pillow, Mia still clutching her clarinet, I find Nancy in the kitchen pouring chamomile tea into 2 mugs. She pushes one toward me. "So," she says gently, "do you want to tell me what happened?" The words spill before I can stop them. About the basement, about Ethan and Brooke, about my parents looking at me like I was the problem. My hands shake so much I have to put the cup down. Nancy listens, really listens. When I finish, she leans back, exhaling slowly. "You know what it sounds like? It sounds like they treated your brother's family like honored guests, and you and your kids like inconvenient tenants." I press my palms over my face. Hearing it out loud, plain as oxygen, hurts and heals at the same time. Nancy touches my arm. "That's not sustainable, Lauren, and it's not safe. Not for you, not for them." She tilts her chin toward the hallway where Oliver and Mia sleep. They need a home that values them. The word home lodges in my chest like a stone and a key at once. For months, I've been squirreling away, overtime pay, sketching numbers on scrap paper, hoping. Tonight, in the quiet safety of Nancy's kitchen, the hope sharpens into something else. Resolve. I sip the tea, its warmth anchoring me. "Then that's what I'm going to give them," I say, not to Nancy, but to myself. Morning at Nancy's feels almost foreign. The smell of fresh coffee, the faint clatter of her cat batting a toy across the hardwood. No one telling my kids to be quiet. No one policing their footsteps. Oliver draws at the kitchen table, pencils scattered like confetti, while Mia helps Nancy measure flour for pancakes. The air feels gentle, but in the pit of my stomach sits a stone. Safety borrowed is still borrowed. During my break at the hospital that afternoon, I sit in the staff lounge scrolling through rental listings. Numbers blur into one another. When 400, when 650, when 700 tailors. Each one feels like a wall higher than I can climb. My overtime shifts stacked up, yes. My savings account has grown, yes. But rent in Columbus isn't forgiving to single moms with 2 kids and student loans that still nibble at every paycheck. An email pops up from Tara, a realtor I met months ago when I was still just looking. "Hey Lauren, a 3-bedroom just opened near the hospital. Not fancy, but safe neighborhood, decent schools. Want to see it?" My thumb hovers over reply. The responsible voice in my head lists bills, copays, gas prices. The mother voice whispers back, "Your kids need a room with windows." That night, I find Mia curled on the sofa in Nancy's living room, clarinet across her lap. She isn't playing, just staring at the keys. The TV glows with some cartoon Oliver picked, but she's elsewhere. I sit beside her. "Penny for your thoughts?" She shrugs. "Grandma said Ethan's already standing. She said he's advanced, like Dad was when he was a baby." I wait because the words she's not saying are heavier than the ones she just did. Finally, she never says anything like that about me or Oliver. Her voice cracks, just once, before she clamps it shut. I reach out, smooth her hair back. "Sweetheart, their words don't measure you. You know that, right?" Mia shakes her head, but it feels like they do. Like, no matter what we do, we're less. The air between us thickens. I want to promise her the world will be fair, but I've lived too long to sell that lie. Instead, I tell her the truth we can build on. They don't get to define your worth, and I won't let anyone treat you like you're less. That's why we're not going back. She leans into me, then, a quiet surrender that makes my chest ache. Later, when both kids are asleep in Nancy's guest room, I sit at the kitchen counter with my laptop glowing. I draft an email back to Tara. Yes, I want to see it. When's the earliest? My finger hovers, doubt gnawing like a rat. Then I think of Mia's voice saying, "We're less." I think of Oliver's inhaler in the basement. My finger hits send. The reply pings back within minutes. Tomorrow at noon. Work? I close the laptop, heart racing. It isn't just about finding 4 walls. It's about giving my children a place where they can breathe, play, and sleep without wondering if they're second class. Nancy walks in, hair damp from the shower, holding a stack of folded towels. Couldn't sleep? She asks. Too much on my mind. She smiles softly. Good. That means you're moving forward. I glance toward the hallway, where my kids dream under someone else's roof. For the first time in months, I let myself dream too. Not of surviving, but of belonging. The next day, I sign out of my shift an hour early, nerves coiled tight in my stomach. Nancy picks up the kids from school so they can come along. They should see it, she insists. It's their future too. We pull up to a small brick house tucked on a quiet side street. The paint on the shutters is peeling, and the lawn looks like it gave up around July. But the door is yellow, the kind of cheerful color someone once chose on purpose. It makes my chest loosen a little. Tara, the realtor, waves from the porch. It's not fancy, she says as we shake hands, but it's solid, and it's available right away. Inside, the air is faintly dusty, like a book that hasn't been opened in a while. The hardwood floors creak under our steps, but the rooms breathe in a way basements never do. Sunlight floods through wide windows, throwing patterns on the walls. Oliver darts ahead, his sneakers squeaking. Look, Mom, there's even space for my desk. He points to a corner of what could be a bedroom, already picturing his drawings taped up. Mia walks slower, fingertips brushing along the wall, as if testing if it's real. In the smallest bedroom, she whispers, "It smells like nothing." I blink at her. Nothing? She nods. Not like bleach, not like mold, just air. Her shoulders drop, the first sign of relief I've seen in weeks. Tara rattles off details. Rent just under $1,500, deposit due immediately. Landlord wants a tenant with stable income. My ears ring. Numbers swirl in my head. Paychecks overtime, the little envelope of cash I've hidden at the back of my closet. Nancy catches my eye like she can hear the storm inside me. "You can do this," she mouths. Oliver tugs my sleeve. "Can we stay here tonight, please?" His voice is hopeful. But there's a tremor underneath, like he's afraid the answer will be no, like it's always been no. I crouch down to his level, brush his hair back. "Not tonight, buddy, but maybe soon." His face falls, just for a second. Soon is a fragile word when you've lived too long in borrowed rooms. I straighten, turn to Tara. "I'll take it." The words leap out before fear can drag them back. My voice shakes, but my spine doesn't. Tara beams. "Great. I'll email the paperwork tonight. We'll need first month's rent and deposit up front." Mia squeezes my hand, fingers small but fierce. "We can do it, Mom. We'll help." I swallow hard. "You already do." Back outside, the afternoon sun slants through the trees, and for the first time in months, the world feels open instead of closing in. The yellow door glows against the brick, like it's been waiting for us. Nancy loops her arm through mine. "See? A house doesn't have to be perfect to be home." I nod, throat thick, because in that moment, with my children's laughter echoing down the driveway, I believe her. That night, after the kids are asleep in Nancy's guest room, I sit at the little desk in the corner with Tara's email glowing on my laptop screen. Lease agreement attached, deposit due within 5 days. My stomach twists. 1,500 plus 1,500 plus moving costs. I've run the math a dozen times already, but numbers don't quiet the voice that hisses, "What if you can't pull it off?" The phone rings. My parents' number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but some part of me, maybe guilt, maybe habit, presses accept. "Lauren," my mother's voice pours through, honey over gravel. "We heard you took the kids to see some rental?" I close the laptop. "Yes, I signed an agreement." A pause, then a sharp inhale. "Are you out of your mind? Do you know what rent costs these days? You can't afford that on a nurse's salary." Heat floods my face. "I make $65,000 a year, Mom. I've been saving for months." "You've always been irresponsible with money," she snaps back. "That's why you needed us in the first place." I bite my tongue until I taste copper. The gaslighting is so familiar, it almost feels like gravity. From down the hall, I hear Oliver cough in his sleep. I picture him in that damp basement, lungs struggling, and my resolve steadies. Needing help 2 years ago doesn't mean I'm helpless forever. My mother sighs dramatically. "This is about your brother, isn't it? You've always resented Ethan. Now you're making decisions out of spite." There it is, the old script. My frustration churns, but instead of boiling over, it sharpens. "No, Mom. This isn't about Ethan. This is about my children being told they don't deserve the same rooms as their cousin." Silence stretches long enough that I can hear the faint tick of Nancy's kitchen clock. Finally, my mother says, quieter now, "Family means sacrifice, Lauren. We all have to give a little." I close my eyes. Then why is it always my kids who have to give? Why never his? She doesn't answer. Maybe she can't. I keep my voice calm. "We'll be moving into our new place soon. I'll bring the kids by to visit once we're settled." "But we're not coming back to live there." Her voice sharpens again. "If you walk out, don't expect us to pick up the pieces when you fail." I almost laugh, bitter at the certainty in her words. I'm not planning to fail. When I hang up, my hands are shaking, but not from fear this time, from adrenaline, from something hot and fierce inside me. Nancy appears in the doorway, robe cinched at her waist. "That sounded rough," she says gently. I nod, swallowing hard. She thinks I can't do it. Nancy crosses the room, sets a hand on my shoulder. "Then the best thing you can do is prove her wrong, not out of spite. Out of love for them." She jerks her chin toward the hallway where Mia and Oliver sleep. The words root me. Not revenge, not rebellion, just love. I turn back to the glowing laptop, the lease still waiting. My signature box is empty. I click inside, type my name, and hit submit. The confirmation page pops up. It's official. I lean back, exhaling a breath I feel like I've been holding for years. Tomorrow I'll figure out movers. The next day, furniture. The day after that, a new chapter. For tonight, I close the laptop, slip into bed beside my sleeping children, and let myself imagine what it will feel like to unlock a yellow door with a key that's finally ours. Saturday morning, I drive back to my parents' house with the kids. The driveway feels narrower than I remember, as if the walls of the place are closing in before we've even stepped inside. Inside, the living room looks staged for a magazine spread. Ethan's toys neatly stacked, Melissa's diaper bag on the couch, family photos newly rearranged so his grin beams from every frame. My children's artwork is gone, as if they never lived here. "Grab your things, okay?" I tell Oliver and Mia softly. "Just the stuff you love. We'll replace the rest." They nod, quiet but determined, and head upstairs. I move toward the kitchen, and that's when David steps out, mug of coffee in hand. He's barefoot, hair mussed, but the smug smile is polished. "So, it's true. You're running off to play independent woman." I stiffen. "I signed a lease. We're moving out." He leans against the counter, voice dripping casual cruelty. "Where are you even going? Some shoebox apartment you can't afford. You'll be back in 6 months begging Mom and Dad to bail you out." I set down the box I'm holding, with a thud that rattles the mugs in the cabinet. You know what the difference is between me and you, David? When I fall, I get back up. You just wait for them to catch you. His jaw tightens. For once, the smirk slips. Before he can reply, our father enters, newspaper tucked under his arm. He glances at the box in my hands, then at the half-empty staircase where the kids are hauling their backpacks. This is unnecessary drama, Lauren, he says. You're overreacting. No one kicked you out. I meet his gaze, steady this time. You moved my kids into a damp basement and told them they didn't deserve the good rooms. That's not home. That's exile. He waves a dismissive hand. You're twisting things. From the stairs, Oliver's small voice cuts through. Grandpa, it's not twisting. You said we weren't important. His cheeks burn red, but his chin is high. Mia stands beside him, clutching her clarinet case like a shield. For a moment, the room falls silent. My father opens his mouth, then closes it again. I scoop up another box, heart pounding, but voice calm. We're leaving today. I'll send for the rest later. David mutters, good riddance. But it sounds weaker now, as if he's not sure who he's trying to convince. By noon, the trunk of my car is packed tight with clothes, books, and a handful of keepsakes. As I slam it shut, I glance back at the house that raised me. My parents stand in the doorway, stiff silhouettes against the dark hallway. For years, I craved their approval like oxygen. But now, standing in the sunlight with my children at my side, I realize I don't need it to breathe. Mia slips her hand into mine. Mom, she whispers, can we go see the yellow door again? I squeeze her fingers. Yes, that's exactly where we're going. We pile into the car. As I pull away, the house grows smaller in the rearview mirror. And for the first time, instead of regret, all I feel is relief. 2 days later, borrowed U-Haul groans under the weight of our secondhand furniture and cardboard boxes. The kids press their noses against the window as we pull up to the little brick house. The yellow door gleams in the late afternoon sun, brighter than I remembered. I fumble with the new key, hands trembling. For a second it jams and panic spikes. What if even this betrays me? Then the lock clicks and the door swings open on a breath of cool, dusty air. Go ahead, I whisper. Mia bolts inside, her sneakers slapping against the bare floorboards. Oliver follows, clutching his sketch pad. Their voices echo in the empty space. Laughter bouncing off walls that have waited too long to be filled. The living room smells faintly of old paint and cedar. Sunlight cuts across the floor in golden stripes. It's not polished, not perfect, but it's ours. Can I have this room? Mia calls, spinning in a small bedroom. Oliver points to the one with the bigger window. No, that one's mine. I need the light for drawing. I laugh, an actual laugh that surprises me and ruffle his hair. We'll figure it out. Boxes thud onto the floor as Nancy and 2 co-workers carry in the heavier loads. It's amazing what pizza and beer can bribe people into doing, Nancy jokes, wiping sweat from her forehead. We work until dusk, unrolling mattresses directly onto the floor. The kids insist on setting up their own corners. Mia tacking her school ribbons onto the wall with tape. Oliver arranging his pencils like sacred relics. Later, we sit cross-legged on the living room floor, greasy pizza boxes open between us. The only light comes from a single lamp plugged into the wall, but the glow feels warmer than any chandelier at my parents' house. Oliver munches silently, then blurts, "Do you think Grandpa and Grandma still love us?" His eyes stay fixed on his slice as if afraid of the answer. The question slices deeper than I expect. I set down my food, pull him close. Of course they do. They don't always show it the right way. Mia frowns. They loved Ethan more. I don't deny it. Lying would insult her sharpness. Instead, I cup her cheek. Love isn't supposed to be a competition. Here, in this house, you'll never have to fight for it. The silence that follows is thick, but softer. The kids lean against me, pizza forgotten. Outside, crickets begin their evening chorus, weaving through the cracked open windows. By the time I tuck them into their mattresses, their eyelids are heavy. "Mom," Mia murmurs, curling into her blanket. "I feel like I can breathe here." The words strike me with a force I didn't expect. I kiss her forehead, whispering, Me too. When the house finally quiets, I step onto the porch. The night air smells of grass and distant wood smoke. The yellow door clicks shut behind me, but it doesn't feel like closing off. It feels like drawing a boundary, our space, our safety. For the first time in years, I let myself believe we're home. Sunday morning, the smell of burnt toast fills the kitchen. Mia giggles as she scrapes black edges into the sink. Oliver is crouched on the floor, sketching the doorway with his new set of colored pencils. "It's brighter than the sun," he declares, holding up his drawing of the yellow door. The moment feels fragile, like glass catching light. And then 3 sharp knocks shatter it. I freeze spatula midair. My stomach knows before my eyes do. When I open the door, my parents stand on the porch. My father's arms are crossed. My mother clutches her handbag like it's armor. Behind them, their sedan idles in the street at hazard lights blinking. "Lauren," my mother says, her voice a mixture of relief and reprimand. "We need to talk." I step onto the porch, pulling the door halfway closed behind me. Now's not a good time. She glances past my shoulder, eyes landing on Oliver crouched by the window. "You dragged the children into this mess. They deserve stability, not what?" My voice is low but sharp. "Not a home that values them," my father cuts in, voice heavy as stone. "You're being reckless. This house is too much for you. One missed paycheck and you'll be drowning." I clench the railing, wood rough under my palm. "I've done the math. I'll manage." "You always think you'll manage," he growls, "until you come running back." The door creaks behind me. Mia has opened it a crack, wide eyes peeking through. My mother softens instantly, her tone dripping with sugar. "Sweetheart, come here. Grandma just wants to see you." Mia hesitates, her gaze darting to me. My chest tightens. I crouch, eye level with her. "You don't have to, honey. Not unless you want to." She shakes her head and slips back inside, shutting the door gently. Something flickers across my mother's face. Hurt, maybe, or fury. "You're poisoning them against us." "No," I say quietly. "You did that when you told them they were less important than their cousin." The air goes still. Even the crickets seem to pause. My father's jaw works, grinding down words he won't say. Finally, he huffs. "We came here to offer you a chance. Come back, apologize, and we'll forget this nonsense." Apologize. The word clangs like metal in my ears. For years, it's been the currency of survival, my surrender in exchange for peace. But not this time. "I'm not apologizing for protecting my children," I say. My voice is steady even as my knees tremble. My mother exhales sharply, her face hardening. "Then don't expect us to wait with open arms when this falls apart." She turns, heels clicking against the porch. My father follows, shoulders stiff. From the window, Oliver whispers, "Are they mad at us?" I push the door open, kneel beside him. "They're upset because we made a choice they don't agree with, but that doesn't mean we were wrong." His eyes search mine, uncertain. "Will they ever visit us?" I brush his hair back, kiss his forehead. "Maybe, but on our terms, not theirs." Out on the street, the sedan pulls away, hazard lights winking like a warning. I close the yellow door, press my forehead to its cool surface. My hands are shaking, but it feels different now. Not fear, but release. Inside, Mia and Oliver wait, eyes wide, looking for reassurance. I gather them close, the smell of burnt toast clinging to our clothes. "This is our home," I whisper. "No one can take that away." And for the first time, I believe it fully. Weeks turn into months. The yellow door becomes a landmark, not just for us, but for neighbors who wave when they pass. The squeaky floors no longer sound lonely. They sing with Oliver's laughter and Mia's clarinet. At work, I'm promoted to charge nurse on the pediatric ward. The schedule steadies, my paycheck grows. More than that, I finally feel respected, trusted. Each shift I walk out tired but proud, knowing I'm building a life on my own terms. At home, the kids bloom. Oliver joins an after-school art program. His drawings spill across our fridge, colorful proof of a boy no longer afraid to take up space. Mia makes the advanced band, practicing freely in her own room, her clarinet notes drifting out the window like a declaration. I matter. One crisp Saturday, we're planting tulip bulbs in the small patch of backyard soil when a familiar car pulls up. My parents step out, slower this time, no handbags clutched like weapons, no crossed arms. Just two older people who look tired. The kids freeze. I wipe dirt on my jeans, heart pounding. My mother approaches first. "Wait, we brought cookies," she says, holding out a tin. Her voice trembles like she's speaking a new language. Mia glances at me. I nod gently, and she takes the tin with cautious hands. My father clears his throat. "We wanted to see the house, and to say we may not have handled things right." The words hang in the cool air, fragile as glass. I cross my arms, not in defense, but to hold myself steady. "You hurt them," I say simply, nodding toward the kids. "That can't be undone with cookies." He looks at Oliver, who clutches a trowel like a shield. "I know. I see that now." His voice is rough, stripped of authority. Silence stretches. Then Mia blurts, "Do you love us as much as Ethan?" The question guts the air between us. My mother's eyes shine, and for once she doesn't look away. "Yes," she whispers. "We just showed it wrong. We're sorry." It isn't everything I wanted to hear. It isn't enough to erase the basement, the harsh words, the years of favoritism, but it's a start. I crouch beside my children. "What do you think?" I ask softly. Oliver shrugs, but his grip on the trowel loosens. Mia studies the tulip bulbs lined up in the dirt. "Maybe they can help us plant, if they don't mess it up." A shaky laugh escapes me. Leave it to my daughter to set terms like a tiny diplomat. So we kneel in the soil together, 4 generations worth of hands pressing bulbs into the earth. The silence is heavy, but not hostile. Something new is being planted, fragile but real. As the sun dips low, painting the sky in streaks of orange, my parents head back to their car. My mother lingers at the porch, fingertips brushing the yellow door. "It's a good home, Lauren," she says quietly. "You've done well." This time, I don't deflect. I just nod. "Thank you." When their car pulls away, the kids race inside, arguing about who gets the last cookie. Their voices echo through the rooms, warm and ordinary. I sink onto the porch steps, dirt still under my nails, air cool against my skin. For the first time in years, I don't feel like I'm standing on shifting ground. This is ours. And no matter what storms come, we'll weather them together. Here, behind a yellow door that finally belongs to us. At its heart, this story isn't just about leaving a house. It's about breaking free from patterns that diminish us and choosing to create a life built on respect and love. Many of us, especially in adulthood, know the weight of family expectations, the sting of favoritism, and the quiet pain of being made to feel less than. But Lauren's journey reminds us that setting boundaries isn't an act of rebellion. It's an act of protection. It's about teaching our children and reminding ourselves that we all deserve to be valued for who we are, not measured against someone else's place in the family. For older viewers who may be parents or grandparents, this story is also a gentle reminder. Love is not just about providing a roof or financial support. It's about listening, treating each child with fairness, and showing that respect is never conditional. And for those who carry old wounds from family, Betrayal, it's proof that healing can begin when we find the courage to step into our own space, no matter how imperfect, and declare, "This is ours. This is enough." If this story spoke to you, I'd love for you to share your own reflections in the comments. Have you ever had to make a hard choice to protect your family's well-being? Your words might give someone else the courage they're searching for. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to hear more stories like this. Real, messy, but full of the kind of strength that makes us human. And until next time, may you always find the peace, courage, and love you and your family deserve.